So interestingly enough, Charlie, the next concept is like changing direction too quickly. Like, what do we mean by that?
I'm actually going to use a fitness analogy for this one.
Love the Fit Pros.
Yeah, I just think contextually it's easy to understand, and then I'll talk about where symptomatically I've done this and I see the mistakes in it in hindsight, right? So when someone is training for a marathon, it's very, very different than training for bodybuilding. Right, it's very, very different. So very different lifestyle and obviously very, very different outcomes. Now, if you did that week to week and swap between the two, like you can see you would make no progress or get good at either. It could be very, very difficult to get good at either of these. So if you've got an organization that's like 1 week we're training as marathon runners and then next week we're training as bodybuilders, right, we never actually get to the outcome of being good at either of them.
Yep.
Because the habits never form, the joints never get to a place. So it becomes really, really dangerous. And the thing that I commonly see, and I definitely did this, was in the beginning when we're trying to work out our business, or when we're a startup, we are trying to move and be agile and do different things till when we find something works. If you start doing that when you got 40 people or when you're a more established organization, all you do is just destroy productivity. Because no one on your team forms good habits. Yep. Like 1 week they're doing this, the next week they're doing that. So you end up like really like slow and clunky. So it's like a productivity loss, like a huge productivity loss.
I find this one's an interesting one because there was a guy that I know that had an outbound sales call center, and he used to always hate on his co-founder because he used to be the big idea guy and come in and like just. He was essentially the guy.
Wait. Let me guess. He went to a mastermind event or watched some training, and then he'd come back like a hurricane, like, guys, we're doing this.
So my mate called it.
Wait, am I close?
Yeah, he called him a seagull because the way he described it was this guy would go out, have these massive ideas, and he'd come because they had a physical office, so he'd come bursting into this office, fucking flap his wings everywhere, shit all over everyone's desks, like make this huge mess of this team of people, and then fly out the room. And all these people would just sit there going, what the fuck? Like, what do we do now? Like, are we going that direction? Are we going this direction? What do I do? What does my day look like?
Can you just imagine that? So you're the staff. You're sitting in that room. You've got your week planned out to be effective for the business. You know what you're doing. The seagull comes in, completely ruptures that, and then you have to reorganize your week. I can't see that killing profits at all, Grant.
So his job was to basically go like refix the office and say, no, nothing's going to change. I'm going to try and fix this and figure out how to actually implement some of his good ideas, because most of the time they're decent ideas. They're just not well thought through.
Do you know what's interesting? It's never the quality of the idea that's the issue. It's the execution.
I do have a question for you, right? So to use like a wealth concept on this. So if you were to look at your property investment portfolio now, and you were to say, great, let's go and change really quickly, like, do you think that like, are you sitting there going, I'm willing to go and execute on something like that? Or do you see it as needing to be a bit more methodical based on the risk that you've got on the other side? Because it's not just the pain that other people go through, it's also the risk factor in changing direction so quickly.
I would go even further on the wealth side of things. I think this is even more important to have a long-term plan and strategy. Because I'll give you the example. Like, I've built my portfolio in property. If I flip-flop between property and shares, can you think of the change cost?
But that's
like,
still
just look
different.
At the selling agents,
yep,
stamp duty, all the things I've put money on to execute this strategy long-term. If I'm like, oh, now I'm day trading. Like, I've just the change cost would be immense. Yeah. Now, then you look at the idea of like, I don't know anyone that's like great at anything in general, but particularly investing. Like, do you know anyone that's gotten good at property in a week or a month?
No, none. No.
All right, what about with share trading? Do you know anyone you would call? Right. So if you're changing between these camps, and you can go within it, is like, I know a very, very talented trader. Right, I know a very talented trader. He's done it for like 20 years. If he went and did like, I don't know, moved into options trading or futures, even he would struggle with that. And like for myself, I'm good at more residential stuff. If you threw me into commercial, even though I'm in property, I would probably struggle with many of the concepts and things just because of the learning curve you continually have to go through.
And I think that's the biggest struggle that people don't understand. is, and I always call it being blindsided, right? So you look at this thing from the outside and you're like, oh, commercial property, to use your example, it looks like it's residential and no worries at all. I could just go and buy a commercial property and I'm happy.
It's a building and it has tenants.
It's a building and tenants. And then so they make the pivot only after a week, realize they're like, oh, wait, the lending's different. The maintenance is different. The tenants are different. Like all these fundamentals that I did not realize when I was looking through the glass that now I have to feel that pain is the key point to this around.
Can I bring something into this conversation though?
Of course
I'm not against people changing direction.
That was exactly where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's if let's say you are in residential property and you want to go into commercial, right? Which is cool, right? People do that for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to address motives, but it's like do it strategically and well.
Exactly.
Like inform the team, bring it in to a strategy, make a plan, maybe speak to some people that have done it and know where the pitfalls are, and then execute it well with everyone on board.
Completely. Try and find the person that's done it before and go like, what did you hit up against that you didn't expect when you first started it? And sometimes when you're doing things like in business, like you and I, like we dip our toe in the water before we change direction. Like we will always try something and go, no, that's not what we thought it would be. Or, yep. We always have this, I know I always talk to you about like, what is the risk that we have here? Like how can we wheel this back? Because I don't want to pivot everybody on a massive risk that we're going to struggle with.
One of the things I really like that we do is ring fence. So like, let's just use an example here because I think this will be important. I think every business owner that listens to this has always got ideas and things they want to do. So if you're going to do it and bring new things into your organization, the approach we've taken more recently, which I love, is like, and I'll use TikTok ads as the example. We've started running TikTok ads for the podcast. Hopefully some of you have seen it, but it's like we actually hired and built out a team specific for that. We didn't just dump it on existing people that are busy. Trial it in a small way, and then based on the results, we'll scale it up and roll it into the organization. So like ring fencing new ideas and building teams for new ideas, I think is awesome. I love that way of doing it.
But guess what? We factored that into our profit margin. We factored the innovation side into profit margin. We understood what we were going and stepping into, and we said, well, if this is not profitable, we're still going to run it for 6 months, see where it lands. And hey, if it does, great. Think of the upside. And so like,
it's because we've been so good at avoiding these profit killers, Grant. We're not getting our profit kill. We can do these things.
Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into being a full stack business owner, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.